Welcome, audience. Today I have a really exciting guest, Gary Patel. Gary, welcome to the show. And in the interest of our audience, could you quickly just introduce yourself and share some perspective about your background?
Sure. So I am currently working at Albertsons, which is one of the largest grocery chains in the US. We have 2,100 stores across the country. And I lead a few things. I used to lead demand forecasting. Very recently, my role has changed a little bit. So I lead other things. I lead omnichannel growth, and I lead operational analytics. Um, for the e-commerce organization. I've been here for about 3 years now. Before this, I was at PlayStation for 6 years, where I was leading a team to do analytics for various groups in the business. And before that, I've been with several B2B and B2C companies doing data analytics and machine learning um, for about 20 plus years now.
Awesome. Gary, you and I've had a few conversations before this, and one thing that came out was your passion for analytics and data, right? And it's a journey that you went through to discover that passion. Could you share that with our audience today?
Sure. So interesting story. This goes back about, I want to say, 15 years. And I'm an engineer by qualification. So I always had that quantitative bent of mine. I was always interested in numbers, but I was also very interested in business. So I did my B school. Right after my B school, I joined a small company where I did some analytics projects, but I didn't realize the value of analytics at that time. And then I did an entrepreneurship stint. So as a part of that entrepreneurship stint, I came across a very interesting web analytics project, and where I had to analyze web data and come up with insights single-handedly. And the data infrastructure wasn't even there. So I had to build up the data infrastructure, um, create the data, or rather, I had to build up the data infrastructure, and then I had to make the data usable before I could generate insights out of it. So I think that when I did that, I saw the value of data and the amount of effort that goes into extracting insights out of data, and I fell in love with it. And at that point, I realized that data can do so much and can enable so many things for a business. And that's why I pursued analytics at that time. I joined a company called Sigma, which enabled a lot of my learning in analytics.
That's really fascinating. Let's talk specifically about forecasting or even demand forecasting, an area that you're currently spending a lot of time. Without getting into any obviously private information, are you able to share what are some of the biggest challenges that an organization faces when it comes to forecasting demand data, especially in the online shopping sort of context?
Sure. So three big challenges come to mind. One is seasonal variation, right? Some businesses, their Sunday is different from a Monday. We all know that holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, they are big for any retail business, any online shopping business. Not just that, for some businesses, even a morning might look different from an afternoon, from an evening, like if you think about restaurants, right? So there is a lot of intra-day, intra-week, and intra-year, and of course months and seasons variation in how customers behave and how your products are moving. So that makes it very challenging um, to forecast the demand for overall demand, but also for each individual line of the business or a product. The second challenge is the size of your facility, right? So a small restaurant versus a big restaurant, a small warehouse versus a big warehouse, a small store versus a big store, right? And if you have all these variations in your portfolio of stores, then that's going to make it very challenging for you to um, forecast demand for each of those stores um, accurately. And lastly, there are so many product SKUs and product variations, right? So in our business, for example, you would have tens of thousands of SKUs. Whereas for any other, like think about Amazon, they have hundreds of thousands of SKUs, right? So it becomes so hard to accurately forecast demand for each of these combinations and permutations for each of these factors.
No, all of that makes complete sense. The size, the scale, the nature of product, all of those factors obviously go into the decision-making process. It goes without saying that data analytics plays a big role, right? So you can look at history to predict somewhat of what the future is going to look like, but that's not always true. So help us understand what elements of data analytics that you use to drive that decision making, particularly in planning and forecasting.
Yeah. So, like you said, a lot of past sales trends go into the the forecasting, but it's really a combination of art and science. The science comes from past sales trends. It comes from past holidays. It comes from your customer segments, all of that. So we can look at the data and we can try to estimate how customers will behave and how orders will flow in. Um, but at the end of the day, no forecasting model is correct just by the science. Okay, so it has to be combined with the art, with the local knowledge, with the knowledge of the people that are in the business, right? So, for example, let's say we are forecasting something for a specific region, forecasting demand for a specific region. And what if that region has, or a zip code, and what if that zip code has, construction going on? Or what if that zip code has a protest going on, right? So, which carries on for a long time. Your model is not going to catch all of that, right? So there are all of these local nuances, or a store is going through remodeling, right? So it has to be combined with the local knowledge, and it's not just for these exceptional scenarios. I think so. The best practice in the industry for forecasting is always to combine it with multiple reviews based on what the forecast is being used for, right?
Right.
So sales will have a separate review, manufacturing will have a different review, operations will have a different review, and the input of all of these stakeholders has to be taken in order to get your forecast right.
Right, which leads me to believe that you cannot 100% automate this process because there is a lot of human element, local element that is involved in sort of the forecasting process, right? Anything that can affect the business output, needs, demands based on these factors that really most organizations don't have control over, right? So getting that into the forecast model would be important. But are there any aspects of the modeling that are automatable that and how has that helped in making the predictions a little bit more efficient?
Yeah. Definitely. I think there is a lot that can be automated. So all of the like the past sales history, sales trends, those can be automated. If you have inputs for weather events, that could be automated. If you have, we definitely have, inputs for holidays and events like Super Bowl, etc. Those can definitely be automated. So there is a lot of automation that can be done, and what will cannot be automated is the human element, like you said. But whatever has been automated enables a few things. One, scale. So, like you cannot do forecasting for every single store, every single facility, every single warehouse, every single week, every single um, product SKU manual, right? So all of that is so it enables so the automation enables the scale. Automation also enables incorporating new data sources like weather or there could be new data sources around customer preferences, right? So so it enables those new opportunities and new inputs. Um, and then finally, it also makes it less error prone.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see how the advent of AI and ML can help with some of these factors because it's not linear, right? There are so many factors with different weightage, right? That the more the more you're able to plug into your modeling can get closer to your forecast, right? So how is that? Have you started seeing significant use of AI, ML in your area of work, and how has that impacted the business?
Yeah, so definitely ML. AI is still figuring out, how AI plays into the forecasting aspect of things, but I think there is definitely potential for that. Um, and the ultimately, it helps us get better accuracy on how we forecast our demand. And what that means is we are able to serve our customers better, right? By planning the right demand, by making products available, by having the right amount of labor needed, all of that. What it also um, what it also means is there is a significant impact to the top line and the bottom line. So we right forecasting makes helps us ensure that we're not leaving money on the table, or at the same time we are not throwing excess resources, surplus resources at serving a customer.
Now let's shift our focus a little bit to talent development, right? So over the years, you obviously mentored teams, cultivated talent. What does that look like for you today? Do you have a early talent strategy, and where do you typically source that talent from?
Yeah. So really from everywhere. So we do develop early talent. Um, I personally do not go out to colleges, but we do have an internship program as well. In addition to that, we also we also use our staffing partners um, to hire contractors as well as full-time employees. Um, and then lastly, we also go direct to the candidates, which is, in the market and get direct applications from candidates and then go through the entire hiring process.
And does that involve any type of formalized training as part of your onboarding, or is that something that they'll just learn on the job, paired with maybe a senior engineer or analyst? How does that work?
Yeah, so personally in my team, I keep the first 4 weeks for training where they are onboarded onto the domain knowledge, the business concepts and fundamentals and all of that. There is some time allocated for technical training as well, but then it's just 4 weeks, and the rest of it is learning on the job.
Awesome. And what skills are you looking for or competencies are you looking for when you are exploring, early talent professionals? Does anything stand out?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is technical skills are hygiene, right? That's just or whatever is needed to do the job. If it's a technical role, then that is just hygiene. You have to be able to do the job, right? Other than that, there are three main things which I look for. So one is business acumen and the curiosity and the ability to solve problems on a first principles basis, right? So just thinking through problems. This could be anything. These are like simple problem solving exercises that or case studies that you would have done in your college years,
Yeah.
right? The second thing that I look for is workability, as in should be able to work with people. There are very few roles, actually none come to mind, where you are just working completely by yourself, right? So you have to interact with people, you have to be able to communicate. For me, those skills are very important. And then lastly, I look for the mindset where a person can look for identify opportunities for improvement, right? And not always be reactive or not always be told what to do.
What I've personally found in my hiring process, Gary, is individuals that are both really good individual contributors, but also can work collaboratively, right, in a team. I don't think it's one or the other. You essentially in today's world need both those skills to be effective, right? Effective team. It's a tech is a team sport, right? There's only so much you can do as an individual. And that's why we take pride in sort of how we've set up our training programs, right, in Recruit, Train, Deploy, where we spend a good, 10, 12 weeks. And a lot of that is, yes, teaching them technical skills, but also making sure that they're collaborating, they're paired as teams. That helps us to see, all right, who among these individuals are true collaborators, who is coachable, right? Who is being proactive, like you said, right? Because nobody has the time to chase anybody to get the work done, right? You need that sense of ownership and responsibility to bring in. So everything that you says really resonates with what not just other leaders have told us, but also, what we personally um, deem important in our program. So thank you for sharing that information. Um, Tell us about your mentorship experience, because I know when we spoke the last time, you said that you have benefited from that. It has helped you shape your career. Um, Quickly talk to us about that experience, and then why would you recommend that to anyone, especially in the tech field?
Sure. So I'm a big fan of mentorship. My mentors have helped me both with day-to-day short-term tactics as well as long-term decision making. They have provided me with tools to deal with situations on a day-to-day basis, and also helped me think through the major decisions that I've had to make, which have um, in some cases changed the path of my life, right? And then also guided me to pick up skills that I may not have thought of picking up myself. So uh, I mean we don't know everything, right? We all of us have blind spots, and a mentor can really help you discover those, and in some cases even guide you. They can bring in a different perspective, um, and they can see things with a different lens. And it's just about talking to a different person who is maybe more experienced than you, who is maybe working in a different domain than you. And there is just this cross pollination of ideas. And it also helps to have mentors who are in the same domain as you, because they are more experienced, they have learned more, and then they might be able to guide you on the path that make you successful. And I think in the tech field, it's really, really important because tech is changing so rapidly. Right? In the last 5 years, more than ever. And because of that, the ways of working are changing. The ways we collaborate are changing. The ways of communicating with people are changing. I mean, now we work remotely for at least half the time, and that needs a different mindset. That needs a different skill set. With all the new technologies, the skill sets needed are also changing. So a mentor can really help you um, with just thinking through all of these things.
Right, right. And quick dropping of nuggets here. What if any trends are you thinking are going to have the most impact in the next 5 years or so in the e-commerce space? Any predictions there?
Yeah, well, AI is the biggest trend that I can see is going to change quite a few things. It is not only going to change the way we do things, but I think it's also going to open up some opportunities that we haven't been able to tap in the past few years, right? It's also going to make us hopefully very efficient and more productive than we are today.
And then one quick piece of advice, right, for business leaders who are rediscovering the power of data. What should they be thinking of in terms of leveraging data effectively in modern times?
Um, in my opinion, always focus on the business problem. You can do a lot with data, you can get into a rabbit hole, but oftentimes you can get an 80% correct answer with just 20% of data. And so always think about how my data is going to drive business impact and growth before going into a lot of churning and data exploration.
Gary, this was a lovely conversation. Thank you for spending this Friday morning for you, afternoon for me. I'm pretty certain that the viewers will find this insightful, not just early talent individuals, but individuals who are seasoned professionals in the data and especially in the e-commerce space. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.